I wanted to show you one more variation of this kind of art style that I'm doing. And I went ahead and cut this woman out in Photoshop, so there's a transparent background. I also converted her to black and white in Photoshop to give me more control over the balance of highlights and shadows. It just looks a little better when I did it in Photoshop. So I brought her in, and I'm going to do something really interesting. I want half her face to be one color and the other half to do something different. And I'm going to do that with blending modes. But first I have to divide her in half. So this is just an image. So I'm going to get the rectangle tool. Oops. Get the rectangle tool and just draw a shape pretty much dividing her right in half. Let's make that a different color so I can see what I'm doing. Make that all the way to the top. And flip that to stroke to kind of make sure it's in the right place. And I'm going to need a couple copies of her. So I'm going to copy, and instead of just pasting, I'm going to do paste in place. And so that's going to give me a copy right on top. So let me make sure this is on the top layer, arrange, bring to front. So we're going to divide these two images in half. So I'm going to actually copy and paste, and we're going to get the second half square. Great. So I'm going to select one of the copies, select this, and we're basically going to be making a clipping mask. And I can make the solid color so you can kind of see which one I'm working with. So I'm selecting that one, to select the image below and make clipping mask. So I created my first half. So now we're going to do the same thing with the image below. This seems a little complicated, but it's actually not too bad. Select the image below and make clipping mask. So I just took both images and cut them in half. So let's go ahead and bring her up top, on top of our gradient mesh, and see what we can do here. So we're going to slide her up to where we had our same gradient mesh that we worked with before. Okay, and we're going to take one half of her, and let's see what kind of different colors we could do. So that's an option. We can leave one in black and white. We can actually do two different blending modes. Let's do overlay. And we can even do a different background entirely. Instead of using that gradient mesh, we can bring out an orange. I'm going to bring that behind here. That needs to be normal. This is going to be our background color right there. And so we can make that a deep red if we wanted to. Whoops, maybe not that deep. And play around with her blending mode. Maybe it's not so harsh or strong. You can really do whatever you want. So you can see that that can be a really cool effect. And what I also came up with is this little pattern of what, how I created that little pill shape before. I just copied and pasted a lot and created this little pattern. I'm just going to bring it over behind here to create a little bit of a dynamic background. And I have this on a blending mode already. I have it on overlay. So you can see how it changes when it's on this background compared to the solid color. And the way it interacts is really neat. But I'm going to go ahead and take my pill background, and I'm just sending it backward into the layering system. So I'm going to send this back behind. There we go. So it just kind of adds a neat little background here. So what I would like to do is, right now she is set on hard light, so it's going to show everything below no matter what. So if I switch her back to normal, you see how you have this kind of almost rain looking pattern kind of coming down here. Then it bypasses her and actually goes behind her, which is really kind of a neat effect. But I want her to be a different color, so I can actually change her color. Let's go down to color balance. We click on preview, convert, and I can change kind of some things here. And this is not using a blending mode, so it's kind of a different way to bring out certain colors. It's taking a little bit of time. But I do like the way that this doesn't have the blending mode on it, because it makes this little background pill graphic a little bit more, or the pattern, more dynamic, because it's being blocked here. It's not all the way across. So that looks a little crazy at the moment. But let's see if I can change this to make this a solid color as well. So we can get rid of the gradient mesh. Actually, I need to select, this is why having different layers and locking them is so helpful. Select next object below. Let's get rid of the gradient mesh. Let's copy and paste this orange. Let me select the next object below. I'm just going to copy and paste this really bright orange. Send it to the back. And I can make that bring out the green. So you can do some kind of really interesting things. We could take this pill background and make that a different color entirely. And the way that interacts is going to be different when we change the color, as well as the blending mode. So a lot of different things that we can change to change the appearance. So instead of overlay, we'll do color burn. And that looks kind of very interesting, very contemporary, and very different. So having fun and playing around and kind of see what you can come up with.